Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles does not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
It's called Kabbalah. What is Kabbalah? Kabbalah is an ancient occult system of belief, philosophy, cosmology, and most importantly, it's a discipline of ceremonial magic. It is vital to understand that Kabbalah is the antithesis to biblical Christianity and fundamentally opposes Jesus Christ as God.
The following is from the book Kabbalah Secrets Christians Need to Know by Dan Lauper. For the last several decades, the church has been the particular target of a massive flood of books and teachings on mysticism, specifically in the form of Jewish mysticism or Kabbalah. The result of this demonic campaign has been a departure from the faith, as many Christians are now looking to the wisdom of the rabbis for answers to their spiritual questions. Like the Gnostics, the Kabbalists view secret knowledge as a path to immortality. Mingled with biblical terminology, these secrets are subtly presented as a means of discovering one's hidden destiny and as a way to becoming more like God. Even as mystical teachings are being covertly brought into the church, what is more astonishing is that many rabbis are openly proclaiming Kabbalah as the only salvation of the world, and that this salvation can only be brought about by a global adherence to the law. This book will attempt to uncover the deception by giving a detailed description of what Kabbalah is and equip believers to recognize it in its morphed form of Christianity. It will also demonstrate that the God of today's Babylonian and Kabbalistic Judaism is not the God of the Bible, and that the current convergence of Christians coming under rabbinic authority will bring them not to the one true God of the Bible, but to the subservience of the God of Kabbalah, Ein Sof, and to its hierarchy of gods. This book will further show that the God of Kabbalah is none other than Lucifer, the serpent and angel of light, whom the sages prophesy will restore knowledge to humanity on a global scale, just as he did in Genesis.
The philosophy and doctrines of the Kabbalah are the foundation of the Illuminati. It is a cornerstone of Freemasonry and all occult secret societies,
as well as the New Age, Gnostic, Luciferian, and Babylonian mystery religions.
To learn Kabbalah is a very complex thing. I heard conversations of people who claims to teach Kabbalah, very foreign, very dark, very awful methods. I don't want to mention names of one of the most famous teachers of Kabbalah today, very not righteous. A really not righteous man. Very, very disappointing, very scary, very dark, and only desiring false methods of the dark secret and the names, the Kabbalistic codes, and numeral values. It's like dark and spooky and evil and very bad, very bad.
This next clip of self-proclaimed prophet and Messianic Jew, Rabbi Jonathan Cahn, is extremely concerning. It shows him teaching an audience of Christians concepts out of the Zohar, which is the main book of Kabbalah.
The Zohar speaks, the rabbis are writing, of the redemption of the world. They speak of life from the dead. They speak of the resurrection and the redemption of the world. The rabbis are saying that all the mercy of God comes from Golgotha. From Golgotha, the place where he died. Calvary means the place of the skull. Golgotha means the place of the skull. They get it all confused. It's an incredible mystical thing that I think the Holy Spirit just got in there. It doesn't make any sense at all. It says, and from this drips salvation, drips resurrection. This is from Rabbi Zohar 128b. In the Golgotha, sit thousands of myriads of worlds. And from the Golgotha, drips dew and fills, the dew fills the world, and the dead will awaken in the world to come as the dew comes forth. The dew is the light of the Ancient One. The light of the Ancient One comes from Golgotha, and as it touches, the dead come to life. From Golgotha is the light of God bringing life from the dead. Golgotha, the radiance of God that brings us life. Whoa. That's amazing stuff. And that may be the first time it's ever been said. And now the very hill, the very place here in, of all places, the rabbinical writings, the Zohar, unwittingly gives the name of it, Golgotha, which is exactly what they would have called it. And teaches that Golgotha is the center of everything, of God's mercy. You want mercy, you go there. Listen to the rabbis. On that point, go there.
Jonathan Cahn is so dangerous here because he has cleverly begun initiating millions of unsuspecting evangelical Christians into the deep, dark mysteries of the occult. In every single one of his teachings, Rabbi Jonathan Cahn proclaims to be a prophet, exposing hidden codes and riddled mysteries that only his rabbinic wisdom has been able to decipher. But the truth is that he is deceptively and purposely initiating Christians into the mysteries of high Kabbalism. His followers are being subconsciously programmed to thirst for rabbis and their Jewish mysticism, for hidden spiritual truths rather than holding to the clear and precise teachings of Christ Jesus and the apostles found in the New Testament. This is by design and part of the Kabbalist agenda. In God's word, we don't need to decode secret mysteries, unravel sealed up messages, decipher clues, or pull back the veil on hidden things. All that we need.
If you've been watching the class before, you would understand that we are going to get into the New Testament and start showing you certain things. And this has nothing to do with me knocking on anybody's belief. It's just that in this channel, we dissect information and we try to make sense out of it before anybody else falls into some bullshit lie. I'd hate to be the one to lead you guys into bullshit lies. So for you brothers or sisters that are watching and sometimes wonder the information, why, like, how come I bring this stuff up? Listen, if you just are patient and you go back into my classes and rewatch them again, you'll be able to catch certain things. Like, I give you guys a lot of fucking nuggets, bro. It's just that sometimes, like, I'll say stuff, read stuff, and because I dabbled into it a lot, like I know a history about it, it just seems like no big deal for me. But the fact is that it's a big deal in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to show you guys right now is just the definition, a true definition of cult beliefs in practically every religion. You're going to see that they have this stuff. Like, it's just silly that we're sitting around here acting like, or trying to act like adults, and are too afraid to be like facing some real talk. Real fucking talk. You know, and then I'll be the first one to apologize if I was wrong. I was wrong. But we got to go deep into this, man, because I think that if you believe in some type of spiritual world, then you would also understand that repentance, I guess, matters to you. It's like, it does matter to me. That's why you know what I mean? That's why I read what I read. Hello? I'm not just here having fun. That's not my interest. So when you hear Jesus or the New Testament, we're about to get deep dive into that New Testament. But the first four books that I'm going to be tackling is going to be obviously the four Gospels. There's too much to be ignored, too much not to read, too much not to consider, that it would be so fucking unfair for me to just continue with my day as if it never happened. You know? So we're gonna be tackling this pretty soon. Anyhow, let's continue.
All that God wants us to know is contained in the Bible. Partaking of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil is forbidden. Gnosticism is a very old heresy that teaches that the truth is hidden and has to be decoded, uncovered, unlocked, unveiled, and learned through initiation.
Therefore, rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men who turn from the truth. To the pure, all things are pure, but to those who are defiled and unbelieving, nothing is pure, but even their mind and conscience are defiled. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father, who is in heaven. Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Christ. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret.
The dangerous Kabbalah is that they want people not studying until they're ready for it because of various reasons. No one would be able to understand that stuff. I myself, I've been kind of emphasizing in the mystical traditions of Judaism for over 20 years now. Whenever I find my way to a piece of Torah that's the dangerous stuff, I never can make heads or tails. I don't understand what in the world's going on over there.
The Kabbalah is a belief system that predates religion and predates Judaism as an organized religion. It's a belief system. It's incredibly scientific, and as I said, it predates religion. I think people, a lot of the rituals, all of the rituals have been appropriated by the Jewish faith. I was looking for something. I'd begun practicing yoga. I find that the Kabbalah and Buddhism and other religions or philosophies that I've been studying they're more adaptable to modern living, to modern life. It makes me think that at one time there was one thought. Yeah, so all paths lead to God.
Yeah. Well, Madonna, if all paths lead to God, then that would mean that everything is true. And if everything were true, then nothing is true. But we read in Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, wide is a gate and broad is a way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. Narrow is the gate and difficult is the way, which leads to life, and there are few who find it.
Hi, my name is Roseanne Sherry Barr. My Hebrew name is Shana Rivka, and I wrote this book, Roseanarchy, Dispatches from the Nut Farm, and it's about my Jewish upbringing and my Jewish ethics and my Jewish everything. You know, my book is kind of me rewriting Torah because, as I say, after you study Kabbalah for 50 years and are bearded, you are qualified to write commentary. And the kids now, they have this MILF thing, Mothers I'd Like to F. It's like kind of a porn thing. So the JILF is Jews I'd Like to. And it's about my generation of JILFs and how we are the sexiest and hottest of all women. And we have, had a world open to us that wasn't open to any women before us. To be able to openly study Kabbalah is that's a new thing for JILFs.
And I wanted to know the answers. And I heard about these classes they were teaching. I heard they were very scientific in nature. not dogmatic and religious, and it didn't matter where you came from or what religious faith you were brought up in. And I heard the teacher was brilliant.
And he's a rabbi.
He's
right?
a rabbi, yeah.
So it's generally considered a sect of Judaism, is it not?
It is where you came, you know, and I wanted to know the answers. And I heard about...
Pay attention to what she says. I'm going to explain something.
These classes they were teaching, I heard they were very scientific in nature, not dogmatic and religious, and it didn't matter where you came from or what religious faith you were brought up.
Okay, so basically, she went into this organization that didn't matter what religion you were from, as long as you believed in what they believed in, right? So that's the concept. Well, that's basically Freemasonry. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
And I heard the teacher was brilliant.
And he's a rabbi.
He's a rabbi, yeah.
So it's generally considered a sect of Judaism, is it not?
It is the mystical interpretation of the Torah.
Where does Kabbalah come from? The Kabbalah is a religion of the Antichrist and is a revelation of the government of Lucifer. The Kabbalah is the original religion from the serpent in Eden that tempted Eve with the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The serpent deceived her into believing she too could become like God. The great fall of man began with this forbidden tree, and this same tree is a Sephirot tree in Kabbalah. Kabbalistic knowledge was passed down through satanic secret doctrines of the Chaldean, Phoenician, and Egyptian mystery religions, and was adopted and appropriated by the ancient Israelites while they were being held captive in Babylon between 600 and 500 BC. Kabbalah was then transmitted orally by the rabbis, eventually to be interwoven into what is now considered modern Judaism, as they strayed far from God's commandments, perverting their religion.
Call it rabbis.
After the Jews were released from captivity, foreign conquest drove the wicked Pharisees to hide the powerful dark knowledge of the Kabbalah and make it secret.
So Kabbalah, but always taught in a very secretive group. You had to be on the inside to get the wisdom. You had to know somebody that knew somebody to get invited. Hey, meet me in the forest by the tree, and we have a small study group over there. So you had to be the right type of person. You had to have the right amount of wisdom, and you had to be trusted with this wisdom as well. It's not written for everyone to understand. It's written in a language. It's almost like a map that you need a key to decode. It's like any cryptology. It's written in a language that you need, but instead of the language is decipherable in and of itself. It's written in Hebrew and Aramaic, and you can read it and translate the words, but the meaning of it, you need that key to really understand it. That as this was taught secretively, in smaller groups, in exclusive settings, throughout the age, throughout the centuries, it's important to remember that those teachers and those students, they did understand what it was talking about, obviously. They understood it, and they explained it, and they taught it, and it was well understood. The idea was, though, that this is not meant for everybody, and so we're going to leave it in esoteric language. Number one, people shouldn't understand it. Number two, they shouldn't try to understand it. And number three, it can remain kind of the exclusive hold of those that need access to it.
The Kabbalah is a collection of Jewish magical texts which were given to mankind via psychic communion with a fallen angel called Raziel. Raziel is one of a pantheon of so-called fallen angels who serve the light-bringer Lucifer. The Kabbalah describes the many angels and demons who inhabit the spiritual realm. The Kabbalah gives Kabbalists a roadmap called the Tree of Life, which explains how to invoke and communicate with these powerful spirits. The magical information in the Kabbalah originates from Babylon and ancient Egypt at the time of the pharaohs, but did not reach Europe in printed form until the 11th and 12th centuries. The sacred books of the Kabbalah are just a few thousand words long, but they contain complex descriptions of a spherical Earth, parallel universes, and the atomic nature of matter, ideas which have become common doctrine amongst modern physicists and astronomers. How could such complex information be contained in a group of ancient texts barely larger than an average magazine? The answer is that the Kabbalah is written in code.
know why I think it's important to see and watch exactly what they believe in is because once you see what they believe in, you start realizing you're believing some of the shit they're believing in. And what the fuck is that about? That's why it's important to look at these things. Don't be afraid. I know some of you guys are probably shivering in your spirits.
Codes are used to conceal multi-layered complex information, which would later be studied by medieval alchemists. Sir Isaac Newton and many leading scientists studied the rich occult sciences within the Kabbalah. There was a time when mysticism, religion, alchemy, astronomy, and astrology were studied as one Kabbalistically based tradition. Jewish physicist Albert Einstein conveyed pages and pages of complex calculations in a simple 5-symbol code. E equals mc squared. Modern-day quantum physics, chaos theory, and the notion of parallel universes can all be traced back to the original texts of the ancient Kabbalah.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts, certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that...
Well, it sounds like a damn spirit, man. You know, pretty fucking obvious. I guess maybe I'm the only one that missed that fucking train.
do destroy every rival theory to string theory. They are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could have just been a lucky guess. I don't know.
In her book,
the Zohar was saying the same shit Albert Einstein was saying as E equals MC square. All right, let's continue.
Deanne Lauper does a fantastic job at explaining why so many will be deceived by Kabbalah's enlightened pseudoscience quantum physics and how it embodies the end times religious deception of ecumenism. As in Kabbalah, today's science of quantum physics is a study of the interconnectedness of all things. Matter and energy are said to be held together in a unified field of light. In simple terms, quantum physics is the observation of invisible particles. Atoms, electrons, monads, quarks, superstrings, frequencies, vibrations in another dimension, and the effect of those particles on the material world by the observer. Because everything is made of atoms, we are all one at the subatomic level. We are all part of this force of light that connects and holds everything together. Thus, it is said, the new science of quantum physics will prove what Kabbalah has always taught, that God is in every person.
This also has influenced, for example, that documentary or series, whatever it was, The Secret, about how, through your mind you can cure yourself. Like, some people say, if you sun gaze, you're going to cure your eyesight. Like, this is real shit. As if you are God. Like there's no anything beyond you. Seriously, let's continue though.
Tutte le religioni sono un cammino per arrivare a Dio.
Because every religion is a way to arrive at God.
Dirò una comparazione, sono come diverse lingue, diversi idiomi per arrivare lì.
Sort of a comparison, an example would be they're sort of like different languages in order to arrive at God.
Qualcuno Sikh, qualcuno musulmano, qualcuno hindi, qualcuno cristiano, ma sono diversi cammini.
There are different paths.
Can you begin to see the picture that's being painted here? To the undiscerning, itching ears, Kabbalah sounds incredible, with its promises and revelation of divinity within every single person and with every single thing. But when all paths lead to God, then good and evil will eventually become blurred lines. Soon, the ideas of what is good and what is evil will become reversed and inverted. Truth will no longer exist, and those who seek it will ultimately be despised
and hated. Let it be known to all of you and to all the people of Israel that by the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom God raised from the dead, by him this man is standing before you well. This Jesus is the stone that was rejected by you, the builders, which has become the cornerstone. And there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved.
The higher secrets of the Kabbalah included instructions on how to kill a person with just one look. This is called the evil eye. The magical name for the evil eye is En-Ha-Ra. In a wax cylinder recording made in 1921, we can hear British black magician and part-time espionage agent Aleister Crowley invoking the fallen demon angel Raziel and En-Ra-Ha, the evil eye.
Aleister Crowley is one of the most famous practitioners of Kabbalah black magic. He founded the religion of Thelema in the early 20th century. He called himself the most wicked man in the world, as well as labeling himself the 666 beast from the book of Revelation in the Bible. Aleister Crowley's work served as a basis for the famous Babylon working ritual, performed by the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, and jet engine scientist Jack Parsons. The Kabbalistic ritual was an intense ceremony, performed for months, from January through March 1946, near the future site of what would soon become Area 51. Aleister Crowley's black magic is practiced heavily within the modern music industry. He's on the cover of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. Evidence of Kabbalah witchcraft permeates the Beatles' music and artwork. Aleister Crowley's famous slogan of "Do what thou wilt" is used by rapper and husband to Beyoncé, Jay-Z, on his clothing line. David Bowie referenced Aleister in the lyrics to Quicksand, and Ozzy Osbourne paid tribute to him with a whole song titled Mr. Crowley. Jimmy Page, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, was heavily influenced by Crowley's writings and teachings, and he even owned a house that was previously occupied by Crowley. Do What Thou Wilt was also printed on one of Led Zeppelin's vinyl albums.
Since medieval times, the Jewish people have been considered a race of magicians. The biblical rabbis used shaman-type techniques to induce altered states of consciousness.
That picture right there, in case you guys don't know, hold on. That picture right there.
The Jewish people have been considered a
That's considered the
race
queen
of magicians.
the queen of Shabbat. Okay? That's considered the queen of Shabbat. Sabbat. I think. Look it up. Matter of fact, look, I'll prove it to you. Watch. Queen of. No, not like that. No, really. Images. See? Told you. Look at that. I didn't even have to dig far. Queen of Shabbat. By Ephraim Moses Lillian. Whew. Pretty nuts, huh? Let's continue.
Magicians. The biblical rabbis used shaman-type techniques to induce altered states of consciousness. Fasting, flagellation, and burying oneself up to the neck were all techniques used to prepare the rabbi magician for a battle through the 7 portals of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, where they would eventually meet the supreme deity in a realm called the Merkaba. Ritual sex magic was also practiced amongst some Jewish cults. Many temples had holes in the walls so that rabbis could ritually sodomize a prostitute, a young man.
The pictures that you see before, those are in reference to most of like
or in the walls.
You see or you hear about
practiced amongst some Jewish
Christian martyrs, mostly children or child Christian martyrs. Let me see. I'll show you. Child. Hold on. Christian martyrs of 1500. See, list of child saints. That's what I meant to say technically. So you can see that child saints have been venerated. Oh, my bad. Have been venerated in Christianity since early 2nd century, right? The earliest example of child saints are in Holy Innocents, recorded in Matthew, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I was going to actually do a class on this topic, to be quite frank with you, regarding how, is there's proof. I have a book who, in Spanish, the Queen Elizabeth, I think? The Queen of Spain was speaking on this very topic regarding passing a law because like she was actually facing a case regarding that situation of taking children and doing this to them. You know, the so-called Jews, self-proclaimed, like they were doing that shit. I have an actual book in Spanish that says that. I was going to do a class on it. I just totally forgot about it. If you guys want, man, after this right here, post it, you know, to remind me, hey, do that class, man, da-da-da. I'll do it because I do have the sources because this shit is heavy stuff right here. This right here is real. Well, again, these are older books that actually talk about it. It's not just me saying it. You know what I'm saying? But this is crazy right here because it's true. And by the way, this is a reference of the Statue of Liberty. Okay, let me just remind you of that. Merca. Anyways, Merkaba, whatever. Let's go.
Ritual sex magic was also practiced amongst some Jewish cults. Many temples had holes in the walls so that rabbis could ritually sodomize a prostitute, a young man or a boy, and invoke the fallen angel Raziel as they reached sexual climax. The word sodomy is derived from the name of the biblical city of Sodom, in which sex magic and also blood sacrifice were widely practiced. A strange version of vampirism, or blood drinking, is still practiced to this day by many rabbis who suck the blood from the freshly severed foreskin of newborn babies.
Know that you can actually prove that, okay? Like it's not far-fetched. If you read in Wisdom of Solomon, which is in the Apocrypha, it actually talked about the incorruptible spirit, the people that were in that land at that time, who God hated because they did a bunch of wicked craft and sacrifices. So let me read it. Wisdom of Solomon 12:4, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh, and the feast of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute for help. These are the Canaanites that were living in the land of Jerusalem, basically. And this is where you see how and why they had to get kicked the fuck out. Right? So, anyways, let me not forget the point. Let's continue.
In the Halacha, in Yeridea, that's the second section of the 4 sections of Halacha called the Shulchan Aruch, the set table. In chapter 266, Halacha 3, 4, 5, and 6, he describes how the circumcision is to be done. He says after the cutting, the mohel does what is called mitzitza. Mitzitza means to suck, and it means doing so with his mouth. You have to have a quick suction action. You have to have more pliability. So
this is disgusting, and nor does it say that in the Torah or Tanakh. It says that in their additional paperwork that they decided to add to. You know, this is their practice and shit. And I mean, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what to say to this, bro. I mean, how else can you how else can you see this shit? I mean, where are we at in these days now, man? Like, where are we at in these days? Kabbalistic rituals of rabbis sucking little boys' penis after circumcision. Like, what the fuck, man? Did we just forget where we are? Let's go.
Saliva is not a bad thing. Saliva has elements of cleaning, of antiseptic elements within it, and the other part of it is that the suction process of the mouth is quicker, more pliable, and it's more exact and works much better.
Call Yisrael. For centuries, when a Jewish baby boy is born, the ancient ritual of circumcision is performed. Religious leaders, known as moyals, also engage in something controversial during the bris. In a practice known as metzitza b'peh, or just MVP, the moyal actually uses his mouth to suck the blood from the infant's penis after he cuts off the foreskin.
In his translation of the book called the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, which
So you Christians that claim that you believe in God and you believe in the Bible, but you believe also that these guys are the real Israelites. Where does it say in the Bible that you can do that to a child? If this goes for all you evangelical Christians or all you Christmas Christians, every single one of you, especially those that believe that these guys are the real Jews of the Bible. How can you help me here understand this? Where in the Torah or Tanakh does it say that you can do that? I mean, let's just be logical, man. Let's just have common sense. You know what I'm saying? I think we're all adults here. You know, I try to do as best as I can to like follow like within my own mind, like, you know, certain laws, right? You learn this stuff. And I just wonder, like, where the fuck do you get this idea that this is okay? Like, seriously. No, impossible. It's impossible for you to fucking think that this is okay.
which is a basic Kabbalistic handbook that the priests had control over for hundreds, if not thousands of years. In his treatise, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan says something incredible. The mouth and the genitalia are together with an expression of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The genitalia and the mouth, what do they have to do? What do they represent? The mouth is also symbolic of the receiver, symbolic of the female element within the human, within the male. The Shekhinah, the divine presence, is seen as the mouth that...
On a second, let me get this fucking straight. So what he's saying is that this line here in the white, this little, you know, diamond shape here, okay? Let's just, you know, triangle shape, okay? That the top of this white triangle here. No, I'm sorry. Wait, what is the mouth or what are you saying? Because it almost seems like that's what he's talking about. That when these two unite, one gives, one takes. I think. Hold on. Am I lost here?
That the priests had control over for hundreds, if not thousands of years. In his treatise, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan says something incredible. The mouth and the genitalia are together with an expression of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The genitalia and the mouth, what do they have to do? What do they represent? The mouth is also symbolic of the receiver, symbolic of the female element within the human, within the male. The Shekhinah, the divine presence, is seen as the mouth that speaks Torah. It's also seen as the receiver for all of the divine forces of energy that come from the higher levels and are expressed through the Malchut.
Basically, you're trying to use science to justify your religious faith and practices. That's basically what it is. I mean, seriously, look, just listen to it for a second, just a little bit, like not even that much. This is science and science-based justification. Okay, it's science, and then with like theology, like shit you can't see. Like for example, you can't grab air, you can't grab your, like, you know what I'm saying? Like air, you can't grab it. You know, you can't punch it. You can't see it.
For all of the divine forces of energy that come from the higher levels and are expressed through the Malchut. And so creation comes from Malchut, and Malchut relates directly to the mouth that speaks truth, to the mouth that prays properly and says the words of Torah that are holy.
Can we read that a little bit? I think it's only fair we should. Shit.
Mouth that prays.
All right, so it says, Sandalphon is the fallen angel who represents the Sephirah, Malkut, and also the fallen angel Metatron, who represents the Keter Sephirah. He is said to appear before the feminine presence of the Shekinah. So that's what you do when you're sucking on wow. Okay.
Properly and says the words of Torah that are holy. The genitalia allows for the connection to combine, to create a living, breathing child. But it has to go through the process of the purification. A living, breathing child.
You see how he just like jerked off his shit? Look.
But it has to combine to create a living, breathing child.
Man, this is so perverted, bro. How come? All right.
But it has to go through the process of the purification of the mouth with the genitalia. The idea behind it is that for a holy soul to be revealed, there has to be holy genitalia and a holy mouth.
The collection of texts called the Kabbalah were eventually transcribed by Rabbi Isaac the Blind in Provence in the south of France during the 12th century. For the first time in its 6,000-year history, the ancient magical techniques of invoking fallen demonic angels and killing someone using the evil eye were put down on paper. The Kabbalistic writings of Isaac the Blind fell into the hands of a group of 9 French noblemen. These noblemen became known as the Knights Templar.
You know, there was a time where I didn't really believe in these guys, bro, but I started reading about them, and there's a lot of books from different directions they write about these guys. Maybe they were around.
The word Cabal, meaning a group who conspire together, comes from the word Kabbalah. One such Cabal, who were to later inspire a whole armada of black magic cults and Freemasonry, were the so-called Knights Templar. They laughingly called themselves the Poor Knights of Christ, but these men were far from poor. They deliberately styled themselves as monks so that they could go about their Luciferian Kabbalistic studies and conduct business without being taxed nor arouse suspicion from the Vatican. The Kabbalistic higher secrets of ritual sodomy, the evil eye, chanting incantations, necromancy, blood sacrifice, and invoking the fallen angels in service to Lucifer fascinated the French Knights Templar. They realized that the Kabbalah originated in Palestine, and once they had realized that the Kabbalah was the key to untold spiritual magical power, they cunningly planned a bloody crusade to Palestine in order to search for more Kabbalistic and magical artifacts. They eventually discovered and looted the Temple of Solomon. Solomon was a biblical magician king who is accredited with inspiring large parts of the corpus of works we now know as the Kabbalah. The Knights Templar arrived in Palestine with one main goal: to stop the Muslims from gaining any knowledge about the Kabbalah. Historical Islamic oral accounts from the 12th century testify to a sickening crusade of plunder, torture, murder, and sexual depravity. The Knights Templar, once they had discovered the magical teachings of the Kabbalah, were dedicated utterly to destroying its origins so that they might hold its secrets exclusively. Archaeologists have found ample evidence of tunnels constructed by the Templars in Jerusalem. They are... After 200 years of Kabbalistic magic and bloodthirsty crusades, wantonly murdering children, women, and engaging in ritualized sodomy, the French Knights Templar were rounded up, tortured, and executed. Many confessions told of the Knights Templar monks ritually sodomizing each other, invoking evil spirits, and implanting these spirits into animals such as cats. Various black magic artifacts were confiscated from castles owned by the Knights Templar, including silver caskets containing desiccated heads and skulls. The Knights Templar referred to these heads as Baphomets. They were placed at the center of a round table. Templars would then conduct a séance invoking the spirit of Lucifer to speak through the head. The most damning information exposed them as anti-Christs. Several Knights Templar confessed that the image of Jesus was spat upon and trampled during Kabbalistic rituals, a satanic tradition which is still practiced to this day at lodges of the Ordo Templi Orientis, which was once headed by Aleister Crowley. Many Knights Templar bribed their way out of prison and escaped to Scotland and the Mediterranean island of Malta. They first renamed themselves the Sovereign Knights of Malta, and then, after establishing trade routes to North America long before Christopher Columbus, they re-emerged in Scotland, calling themselves Freemasons. All versions of Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, the Skull and Bones, the Palladian Rite of Freemasonry, Co-Masonry, Scottish Rite Masonry, the Ku Klux Klan, and Crowley's Ordo Templi Orientis are derived from the original Kabbalistic rituals of the Knights Templar.
Albert Pike said this about Freemasonry in this very book. He says that Freemasonry is based almost totally on the Kabbalah.
Yes.
Jewish magic.
Yes.
And many Jewish rabbis have admitted this, and they say that in all of the rituals of Freemasonry, you will find the Kabbalah, the system of magic of the Jews. For example, the 30th degree of Freemasonry is the Knights of Kadosh.
Yes.
And it involves skulls and black robes and a knight laying in a coffin speaking from the dead.
Yes.
And all of this turning to the god of the underworld, the gods of the underworld, is all related to Jewish Kabbalah because they believe in necromancy, communication with the dead. And they believe that in the last days, a Kabbalistic master will come upon the earth, and there will be a Jewish utopia, a new world order of the Jews, but they must go along with what are called the Noahide laws and be good Gentiles and go along with Kabbalah. And if they recognize that the Holy Spirit is the serpent. And by the way, that's also taught in the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, that is, the serpent is the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And he is going to encircle the earth.
On July 14th, 1889, 33rd degree Freemason Albert Pike revealed the God they worship in the Masonic lodges when issuing instructions to the 23rd Supreme Councils of the world. We worship a God, but it is the God one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, 33rd degree Masons, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, whose deeds prove cruelty, perfidy, and hatred of man, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Adonai and his priests calumniate him? Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately, Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. For the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary to light to serve as its foil. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophic religion is a belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. Masonry is a search after light. That search leads us directly back to the Kabbalah. All Masonic associations owe Kabbalah their secrets and their symbols. Albert Pike from Morals and Dogma. The following quote is taken from Manly P. Hall in his book, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, on page 124. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is a proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. The theories of Kabbalism are inextricably interwoven with the tenets of alchemy, Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, and Freemasonry. Manly P. Hall, 33rd degree Freemason. Kabbalah and the Androgyny Agenda. The following is from the book Beware the World to Come by Christopher John Bjerknes, the world's leading and most extensive secular researcher into the Kabbalah. The Jewish mystical set of beliefs known as Kabbalah professes that the corruption of the androgyne gods and of androgynous Adam into distinctly male and female forms was a terrible calamity that needs to be rectified through a process the Kabbalists call tikkun olam. This expression means that Jewish people must repair the world. They believe that this process of repairing the damage began about 6,000 years ago, when Adam was created, then divided into Adam and Eve, and needs to be completed now, or terrible things will happen. Fixing human beings by making them androgynous will also repair the gods and return them to their androgynous state, because what happens on earth affects what happens in heaven. The androgyny agenda is a religious agenda. It is a Kabbalistic agenda. This androgyny-based ancient religion holds that not only are male and female one being in the proper order of things, but that the beginning and end of history are also of one and the same form. That is to say, that human beings must and will return back to their original state of androgyny and mirror the gods, who will follow suit and once again become androgynes when the world has been repaired, as above, so below. For example, according to Kabbalah, Humanity was created about 6,000 years ago in the androgynous form of Adam, and must return to that androgynous state in the world to come, Olam Haba. In fact, the Messianic age which is about to begin will not arrive unless and until human beings are converted back into androgynes. The clock then began to run on a countdown of 6,000 years, during which time it is hoped that the descendants of Adam and Eve will have repaired the world and merged back together into androgynous beings. Androgynous Adam had within him, her, all the 600,000 twin souls of the Jews, the androgynous souls of all the Jews that had become separated into male and female half-souls when Adam split into Adam and Eve. One of androgynous twin souls resides on earth and is separated into its male aspect and its female aspect. Jews are reincarnated over and over again during the 6 days, or 6,000 years of creation, because they are imperfect and must repair themselves bit by bit in each successive incarnation of their half-souls. Their beliefs in some respects mirror those of Hinduism, Buddhism, Pythagoreanism, and Platonism. They repair themselves.
That's what I wanted to pause. Look at this right here. Look at this last sentence. They repair themselves and the world by following the 613 commandments or mitzvot of their Canaanite gods, El and Arshera, whom they have renamed Yahweh and Shekinah. Now, I could understand that. Now I see the relationship. But I mean, I always have. To be honest with you. A lot of you guys never saw it. Well, yeah, a lot of you guys never saw it. His brother saw it a long time ago, way before me. But a lot of you guys were scared.
And the world by following the 613 commandments or mitzvot of their Canaanite gods, El and Asherah, whom they have renamed Yahweh and Shekinah.
Show why I believe that my celebrity crush Jake Gyllenhaal is actually born a woman, a biological female who's transformed into a male by use of puberty blockers, HRT, hormone replacement therapy before puberty. So it's not like Jake was a woman and then just turned into a man. I mean, Jake never went through puberty of a woman, so therefore Jake just turned into a young man. Someone who looks like a young man on the outside but actually has the skeleton and probably the underneath parts of a female. So I believe Jake Gyllenhaal has a vagina. It's definitely very difficult to know where to begin, so I'll just start by showing you some open trans men.
Hi, my name is Cam, and this is my voice 15 minutes on T. Hi, my name is Cam, and this is my voice 1 month on T.
Hi, my name is Cam, and this is my voice 5 months on T. Hi, my name is Cam, and this is my voice 7 months on T. Hi, my name is Cam, and I'm 1 year on T.
Well, actually, my family is in a business, so there was a lot of support and always has been. And it was actually on the other side of the spectrum, if you could say that. It wasn't the apathetic father and, not supportive. It was complete support.
So Jake just told us there that his parents were in the industry, okay? This is a huge clue, a huge connection that I always try to show you guys, because people ask me all the time, how does it work with their parents? Their parents practice this religion too. Please understand that these are not just heterosexual families who, decided to just sell their child off and trans them to become a part of the industry. It's an industry-wide deception of transgender people, deceptively transgendered people. This goes into the Adam Kadmon, and Adam Kadmon is a religious Jewish prototype. People ask me all the time, why would anybody want to change their gender? And You know, this goes into Adam Cadmon ideology. This is their religion. And this is not something that I just made up. You can go look this up for yourself. You can read into it. You can see what they believe. It's all written down. And remember, this is never about one specific person. The only reason that I chose Jake Gyllenhaal to show you is because I did have a crush on Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's ego-shattering to find out that you've been lusting after the same sex. So for those of you who are not at all familiar with the content that I share, I guess I will show you some open male to female transgenders so that you have an easier time discerning what it is that I am trying to show you. This is what they look like. Okay, please, they've given you a misconception in the mass media of what transgender looks like. See the man face? Do you see the man face? It's just fake. Fake.
I just want to pause right here for a moment and reiterate that although this research sounds, under today's very politicized and politically correct atmosphere, it might sound like this is anti-Semitic, quote unquote, or bigoted. However, we're just going where the research into their own writings take us. And here's a disclaimer.
Hey, look, look what it says right here. All non-Jewish humans, shells of darkness must be destroyed for the Tikkun Olam, the repaired. Other names for Gentiles in the Kabbalah, they just call them Edomites. Isn't that interesting? What is that whole word about projection? Projection is powerful. The Edomites are blaming the Edomites. Nah, man, it ain't working no more. It's not working no more. Like you're like, it's not working no more. Whatever spirit was behind those statements in the past, like it's just not working no more. So let's continue this walk because we're just, dude. This what this guy did was pretty in depth, man. So I thought let's share that. All right, let's continue.
From the author Christopher John Bjerknes on page 26 of his book. Please note that throughout this book, the religious views expressed are not those of your present author, but rather a representation of the views and beliefs of those who have pursued the extermination agenda and the androgyny agenda throughout history. Your author does not believe in ancient or current mythologies of any kind. Even if you start out reading this book with no knowledge whatsoever of Gnosticism or Kabbalism, you will learn sacred secrets and come to understand mystical doctrines known only to a few adepts alive today. Okay, with that said, let's resume. According to the Kabbalah, when the Jewish metagod Ein Sof decided to create the universe, it first contracted itself to make way for the divine light of its being to enter the newly created vacuous space, Tzimtzum, and form the objects of creation. The Ein Sof then placed its divine light into 10 vessels, Sephiro, to contain it. 7 of these Sephirotic vessels tragically shattered and introduced shards of Tohu Va Bohu, chaos and void, into creation. The fragmented vessels covered the divine sparks of light in shells of darkness, Kelipat, which need to be purged from the world so that purity and light can fill the world and take the place of the evil shells within the Tzimtzum, the vacuum, which arose when the Ein Sof contracted itself. This process of removing evil and revealing divine sparks of light, ridding the world of the shells of darkness to leave room for the light, is called Tikkun Olam, which term means the restoration of the world by the descendants of Adam and Eve, the Jews, who are composed of the divine light. Gentiles are shells of darkness which conceal the light and clutter the Tzimtzum with their evil presence. In order for the vacuum to be filled with the good of light and only with divine light, Gentiles must cease to exist because they are not only evil darkness incarnate, but are shells that conceal and displace the holy light. Darkness must give way to light, and Gentiles, who are called the sons of darkness, must give way to the Jews, who are styled the sons of light. so that the universe can be restored to its original perfect state of purity and order in the world to come. And human beings and the gods must return to their perfect androgynous state. Gentiles are not only sons of darkness, meaning that Satan created them by sleeping with Eve to bear Cain, they are also daughters of the strange god Satan. The only means that the Jews have to reform the androgynous godhead of Yahweh and Shekinah is to make human beings androgynous and to build the third temple to their gods in Jerusalem. Because the gods in heaven mirror what the Jewish people do on earth, should the Jews once again become androgynes, the gods will also become androgynous, and order will return to heaven and to earth. This tikkun, or repair, of Shekinah and Yahweh into an androgynous form also entails the restoration of the Jewish people to Palestine, the reconstruction of the temple, and the extermination of the Gentiles, whose souls are evil darkness. Shekinah will not return to Yahweh unless and until the temple, their bedchamber, is rebuilt. During the sixth day of creation,
That's your justification right there for them to be in Palestine. That's just one part. Hey, listen, you guys need to really listen to what the fuck they're saying in private. Because this is what they're saying in private.
the Jews must prepare the way for the Sabbath millennium and wage their war of genocidal conquest on the Gentiles and win it so that they can enjoy the peaceful and relaxing seventh day of rest. They must also atone for the sins of the Jewish people and redeem themselves. In the sixth day, the Jews must work extra hard to ready things for the end times, particularly in the last 400 years of the sixth millennium, when the birth pangs of the Messiah, Shevle Mashiach, begin and become more frequent and more painful. Just like a woman's contractions do when she gives birth. The Jews had to be redeemed in this period, and the process had to be especially painful and violent. The Gentiles have to be completely destroyed in this 400-year period, in an ever-intensifying and accelerating series of calamities. They will then be able to rest for the next 1,000 years, while Gentile slaves perform all the work of the Jews, just as Shabbos Goyim perform all the work of the Jews on the Sabbath. That is, until such a time as robotics technology makes Gentile slaves obsolete, unnecessary and redundant, at which point they will be completely exterminated. The Zohar explains the correlation between the Sabbath blessings and rituals and the plan for the Jews to conquer humanity in the last 400 years of the sixth millennium, starting in 1840 AD. The Zohar iterates a prophecy of Yesod, which represents a prolonged and intensifying series of disasters commencing on the 600th year of the sixth millennium, 1840 AD or 5600 on the Hebrew calendar. Kabbalists had permission to spread the Kabbalah in 1840, which was a very special year, the 600th year of the sixth millennium. This was a year that the Zohar predicted that the gates of wisdom would be open in heaven and the fountains of wisdom would spring forth on earth. Joel David Bakst quoted several statements which attest to this fact in his book, The Josephic Messiah, Leviathan, Metatron, and the Sacred Serpent, The Secret Doctrine of the Gaon of Vilna, Volume 2. Prior to 1840, the study of Kabbalah was a closed book to all but the initiated. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, Talmudist, ethicist, and leader of the Musar movement. Thus, from 1840 onwards, permission has been granted for those who truly desire to enter within. The Kabbalah is no longer the private domain of the initiated masters.
If you guys have been watching my channel, you should know that I've been shown through Freemasonry, not necessarily these like Kabbalists, but I was saying through Freemasonry how they were practicing this Kabbalah stuff, Talmudic things, and it's all in relationship to them. This is why when we look at history, man, you can't just look at one aspect of history. Like, oh, I love the military. I just love how many guns they had and all that. Yeah, that's important. I'm not saying it's not, but it's like there's more to those things than just those particulars. Like, this is why as I'm reading this and I'm looking at this and I'm like, bro, I shared this with you guys before. This is oh man, we had been seeing their lodges being set and spread apart as time went on, especially in these years, 1810, 1883, 1841. I mean, let's think about this. In 1812 was when Mexico finally was supposedly, free. Yeah. For like a year. Let's continue.
40 onwards, permission has been granted for those who truly desire to enter within. The Kabbalah is no longer the private domain of the initiated masters. The Renaissance, followed by the Enlightenment, and Lurianic Kabbalah, followed by Reformed Judaism, opened the fountains of wisdom and unleashed the evil serpent of science as a modern manifestation of the Messiah, son of Joseph, the Messiah anointed for war. The Reformation caused Rome to fall to pieces. The massive destruction with technology made possible in the world wars.
That evil serpent. I'm going to have to come back to this video at 104 because my next class is mentioning something like this. This is very powerful right here. Pay attention, fam.
Delivered Israel and brought down Gentile government and destroyed the monarchies of Europe and the Middle East. Cain and Tubal-Cain were men of science who employed the knowledge of Satan to refine the arts of war. They are the archetypes of the Messiah, son of Joseph. The Zohar calculates the year of the arrival of the Messiah based upon the Hebrew letter Vav, which is also the all-important number 6 in Hebrew of the 6th millennium. I just want to pause right here real quick and say that anytime the Kabbalah or Judaism talks about their Messiah, they're actually referring to the Antichrist of the Bible. Okay, resume. And after 600 years of the 6,000, there will be opened the gates of wisdom above, and the fountains of wisdom below, and the world will make preparations on the 6th day of the week, when the sun is about to set.
That's why when people are involved in Freemasonry and all those levels and shit, they really don't know certain levels until they pass certain ones. And then once you get to that point, bro, I mean, I don't know, man. You know, I think we all have a discerning moment of things. Some of us can just discern shit right away, and throughout our lives, we're just like that. A lot of you guys are not like that. You talk about, oh, no, you don't know how to discern shit. If you were discerning shit, you would not be where you're at. There's a difference. But this right here, the Zohar prophecy of Yesod, I mean, this is part of the Zohar, the Talmud, the Mishnah. Come on, bro. You guys need to just stop lying to yourselves. And this is why I am reflecting also myself on how I'm looking at things and why we're going to keep tackling, the first 4 Gospels. Because, again, I'm giving you this angle so you can see kind of like who is involved as well. Let's go.
Zohar prophecy of Yesod. Kabbalists dread peace between Islam and Christendom and have been agitating for war between these Jewish derivative faiths from the beginning. Muslims and Christians have a common enemy who fears that should Christendom and Islam ever unite to defeat those Jewish forces who wish them both dead, the Jews will be defeated and their planned utopian world to come will be lost forever. Though Jews have historically at times sided with Christians against Muslims and Muslims against Christians whenever it is good for the Jews, and often pitted them against one another, the Zohar 3:282a expresses an extremely negative view of both Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad. In 1844, soon after the fountains of wisdom were opened in 1840, Benjamin Disraeli, who was to become the first Jewish Prime Minister of England, revealed the fact that there would soon be a tidal wave of revolutions across Europe, which would be instigated by Jews. Disraeli knew at least 4 years in advance that the Marxist revolutions of 1848 were about to happen and who was leading them. Disraeli knew these things 4 years before Marx published the Communist Manifesto. Disraeli disclosed these plans in his book, Coningsby, or The New Generation. Communists grant the state power to raise children and force women to work, thereby destroying the family. Communism is another Kabbalah extermination agenda. It is also a dysgenic agenda which genocides the hated bourgeoisie, the most successful members of Gentile society, while often replacing them with a privileged ruling Jewish elite. It breeds the worst with the best to breed the best out of existence. Lenin and Trotsky passed around the brightest, most promising young women among the lowest and most degenerate Bolshevik soldiers and criminals. Many of the Bolshevik rapists and genocidal mass murderers were Chinese whom the Jews imported to assist them in the slaughter of 30 million Eastern Europeans by 1923. The Jews and their gods eagerly await the kingdom of the world to come and the restoration of androgyny. Just as the Amalekite Gentiles must be exterminated, the Jews ingathered, and the temple rebuilt in order for Shekinah to again cleave to Yahweh in the androgynous Godhead, so too must Jews return to the androgynous state of Adam, for the Godhead to be restored to its original androgynous form. The transhumanist movement and the postgenderists seek to use the technologies of gene manipulation and cloning to create androgynous and immortal post-humans, who are supposedly created in the original form of Adam before Eve was separated out from Adam, and before humanity was cursed with death and childbirth. Esau is the acknowledged name of the Gentiles among Jews, and they often refer to Gentiles as Esau or Amalek when they speak to fellow Jews about exterminating or otherwise harming Gentiles. Esau is used as form of code for Gentile, which Jews often use to keep their intentions hidden from the Gentiles.
And also in the book of Deuteronomy, we speak about the mitzvah to destroy and to annihilate the nation of Amalek. It says the Rambam in mitzvah 188 and also 189, and also in Negative Commandment 59, that there's a mitzvah and a command to wipe out from among all the descendants of Esav, the descendants of Amalek, male and female, young and old.
Esav, who is the symbol of all the nations, Christians or not. Esav, who in modern day terms is really basically, 31 of them is America.
What's the difference between Edom and Amalek? We spoke about Edom being the grandfather of Amalek. Amalek is Germany, so who's Edom? Edom includes most of Europe. It includes the United States of America. It's the Roman Empire that was never destroyed. But for those who don't understand that Italy is the seat of the Roman Empire of Edom, even though Edom is scattered, many other nations today that speak Latin languages that have something of the Roman Empire, including America. They are first. So Edom is everywhere, and the United States of America is also part of Edom.
It all started, of course, with Esav. Esav became Edom, which is a nation. Edom became Rome. The Torah says Esav is Edom. The Gemara says, the Talmud says, that Edom is Rome, Zuroimi.
Edom becomes America. Why? Because America is Edom, after all.
As our sages said, Halakha Esav soneh leYaakov. It is a law of nature that Esav will always hate the Jewish people. Will hate Jacob. Jacob is the Jewish people. And Esav is the non-Jewish world.
In Isaiah chapter 63, the day of the great and terrible day of the Lord, it says that the Lord will come out from a place called Edom and he will crush Edom. Now, I'm just a broadcaster here, okay? In Jewish understanding, Edom is really talking about the Christianity. Who is Amalek? Amalek is Reshit Go'im. The Jews were so revered by the entire world when they came out of Egypt. But when Amalek, which is the grandchild of Esav, Yaakov's brother, saw them, Amalek came and attacked the Jews. And therefore God commands us that we should never forget this. This is why the most important Torah reading of the year is Zachor. God commands Moses to tell Yoshua that he must annihilate Amalek. And this battle between Amalek, good and evil, goes from generation to generation. Because Amalek is darkness. They're the antithesis to godliness and holiness. Everything the Jewish nation stands for, if the Jewish nation stands for humility, godliness, light, they are darkness. And we are commanded to destroy this, because Amalek is not only a physical nation, it's a spiritual energy. It's a negative force of darkness.
It's mitzvah from the Torah, one of the 600.
No, I do have to say something, because I mean, it's just like, fuck, man. Okay, first of all, there is one scripture, several actually, but I mean, right off the bat, there is one thing that they said to the Israelites. There is one thing they said to the Israelites. On verse 3 on Genesis 24, it says, "And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take any wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell." Among whom I dwell. You see this? It says it in verse 37. "And master made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son are the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. How come you guys never argue about these guys? How come you never say, yo, fucking Canaanites, we're going to kill them and destroy them? You say Amalek. Okay. Amalek. Let's see if it's true. How do you spell that? Amalek. I think you spell it like that. How would you spell it in KJV? Does anybody know which scripture that would be in? I missed it. Maybe I can go back to it. Hold on. But anyhow, let's continue.
And 13 commandments is to remember to erase the nation of Amalek, the memory of them even, not only physically to erase them from the face of the earth. Anything that reminds us about them is mitzvah to dismiss and to erase it from the face of the earth. Hashem say to King Shaul, now it's time to destroy Amalek. Don't leave one survivor. Destroy the entire nation of Amalek with their animals, everything that is owned by them. No Jews are allowed to enjoy from it. Do not leave any memory from them. Hashem say, do not have mercy on the children. Kill all their children also. Why? There's no difference between them and their children. In 10 years from now, these children will attack you on the way. Hashem knows, God knows. You kill all men and all women. Me'olel ve'ad yonek. Even babies who breastfeed. Amazing. Mishor ve'atzeh. All oxes, all goats, camels, donkeys. Don't leave anything, any memory from this filthy nation.
Why are the nations, why are they green? The idol worshippers. Why are they Mizoamim? What's Mizoamim? Mizoamim means they're impure. Their natural state is being impure. Koi's natural state is impurity. Erase the name of Amalek. Do not forget. We assume that anyway, every enemy of Israel, every anti-Semite stems from the seed of Amalek.
This is what Hashem said. Takadeti et asher asa Amalek li'Israel. The nature of this nation Amalek, and it's not only the Germans, it's most of the European countries. That's where Amalek is.
Blotting out the memory of Amalek is a military command, literally to destroy Amalek. Now facing today's Amalek, we are reminded that the Torah calls us not just to escape, but to extirpate Amalek. We are commanded to do real and literal battle against it.
The children of Amalek that hates Yaakov, the children of all the ones that had that black bitterness instead of a soul, that black, dark, horrible, depressed, negative, and awful shadow as a poor replacement for a soul, still hating us, still jealous, still don't know what to do with our goodness.
Someone from the Jewish special forces will take you out, just like they take out hundreds of Muslim criminals, hundreds of jihadists each year. They'll take you out as well.
The Torah says that people who worship idols such as yourself, when there is a Sanhedrin,
to kill us.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the Torah says.
So we know how the Jewish people feel about Christians, yes? That you discriminate against Christians.
Christians are idol worshippers.
You discriminate against Christians.
The Torah says that Christianity is idol worship.
Let me ask you.
You worship three
Let me
gods.
ask.
Well, what's the punishment if you transgress the Noahide laws? Death. Now, technically speaking, I see anyone in the church, and they're bowing down, they're a non-Jew, I can shoot them. Not a problem.
Asking what's going to be with the Goyim when Mashiach comes. Will they be destroyed and annihilated? Someone asked, who cares? Okay. As a nation, they'll cease to exist, even as individuals. Every individual, no survivors. Not only as a nation, they'll cease to exist, even as individuals. As Goyim, they're gone.
The Jews run the show in the world, not because they want, because that's what God wants. Even though we're a very small community compared to America, 300 million Americans, 5 million Jews. It's no comparison. But the Jews are everywhere. Politics, all the assistants of Trump, Jews, all the assistants of Sleepy Joe, Jews, Obama, Jews, everyone around, the Reform Jews, Conservative Jews, Chabadnik, this, convert, it's all somehow. Same thing was in Spain, same thing was in...
Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment to pause and unite our hearts in prayer. Almighty God, creator of the heaven and earth, we also pray for our friend and ally Israel, that she should eradicate her enemies, bless President Donald J. Trump. May we move forward together seeking to build a future that reflects the will of God and his values based on the 7 Noahide laws that will unite us all together.
Based on the 7 Noahide laws.
And a prayer in Hebrew, Misha Berach Havasenu, Avram Yitzhak.
The Sanhedrin also called on the new president to acknowledge and uphold the 7 Noahide laws. This here is from gotquestions.com, a familiar Christian site that many people use for research. And it says something very important, which I'm going to show you proof of towards the latter of this film. It says the Talmud, again, the oral written traditions of the rabbis, calls for the capital punishment for Gentiles who violate the Noahide laws.
Wait, just because he's not saying it in front of you doesn't mean he's not fucking, it doesn't matter. He's saying it in front of people. They're just not saying it in front of you. Do you understand what this fuck means? I think you guys are all asleep, man. I don't think you get it.
And this has led some to debate as to whether or not Christians who worship Jesus Christ are guilty of violating the first Noahide law and therefore deserving of the death penalty.
I could go on and on and on. I read testimonies, watched videos, I went to Jewish source papers, even learned about how the Chabad organization is working tirelessly with the UN to use the Noahide laws to encompass all Gentiles under Judaism. You can even go here to Noahide.com, where they even thank Nikki Haley for working to bring about world peace through the Noahide laws. In case you're not aware, the first law, no idolatry, for the Chabad organization and for the Sanhedrin, which will be helping enforce these laws, includes no belief in Jesus. And according to the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia, the punishment for breaking the Noahide laws, which would include belief in Jesus, is decapitation, as you can see here in the Jewish Encyclopedia under Noahide laws. The most vulnerable people to fall prey to this false teaching of Noahide are the sect of Hebrew roots that deny the deity of Jesus. I fear that many of them will have no problem denying Jesus. It states that no one may worship an idol in the way that it is normally worshipped, which perhaps leaves room to believe that Jesus lived on earth and was a good man, but was not the fullness of the Godhead manifested. If that is the case, many in the Hebrew roots movement have already devalued Jesus, so that wouldn't be an issue for them. They may keep their head, but lose their soul in eternity. If the Hebrew roots movement is so good and the right way to please God, then how could it be leading so many Christians out of the churches, into Hebrew roots, rejecting Jesus and converting to Judaism? There's no other religion on earth today that is sending people in droves to abandon Jesus and embrace Judaism. We're nearing the end, and all the pieces are falling into place for the Sanhedrin to be reinstated, and the temple to be built, and the false Messiah to arrive, and for Judaism to spread across the world, and many Hebrew roots people will be deceived. This man is a Jew who grew up attending a yeshiva, which is a school for boys, and he's met with many leaders in Israel. He reads and speaks Hebrew, and he was a former CIA agent.
But the Hebrew roots movement, something I'm planning on doing a very serious video about in the very near future, about how that there has been much infiltration and from the very beginning of this movement in order to draw Christians back to Judaism. And you may not realize what the ultimate goal of this was. There have been CIA operatives, FBI infiltrations into the organization. There are leaders that work with them, that work also with Mossad and others, and Jesuits that have infiltrated these organizations here to be able to get the people to move towards Judaism. And in fact, it is the one group of people that have had the largest number of members of any organization in Christianity in the world was the Hebrew roots movement that have gone back to Judaism.
In order to understand the Noahide laws better, we first have to learn who the Grand High Kabbalist of the 20th century is and how powerful he was. Menahem Mendel Schneerson, 1902 to 1994, was a leader in the Chabad Lubavitch movement. He was the Grand High Kabbalist with the title Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was a Russian-American Orthodox rabbi and the most recent Rebbe of the Lubavitch Hasidic dynasty. He is considered one of the most influential Kabbalist leaders of the 20th century. During his lifetime, many of his adherents believed that he was a Messiah. The Kabbalists believe that they have the power and responsibility to summon the Mashiach by doing certain works, or Tikkun Olam, which we have learned is part of the androgyny and extermination agendas.
בזמן שישראל לאחרונה ניתצו כמה עניינים. מה שלא יאות, וגם מצב שעדיין משיח ליבו. אז הייתה סימן שהוא במה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגיל עדיין ליבו. אבל יש את כמה שעות, אבל יש להשתדל גם היום.
Grand High Kabbalist Rebbe Schneerson was so powerful and influential that in 1978, the U.S. Congress asked President Jimmy Carter to designate Schneerson's birthday as the National Education Day in the United States. It has been since renamed as Education and Sharing Day. But under the cover of this National Education and Sharing Day, President George Bush Sr. also slipped in Public Law 102-14, which establishes the Kabbalist 7 Noahide laws as the supreme law of the land. Every single president of the United States since has re-signed this bill and nationally honors Rebbe Schneerson's birthday as National Education and Sharing Day. U.S. Congressman William Dennemeyer, who served from 1979 to 1992, warned Christians and publicly stated, in very basic terms, the law forbids the worship of Jesus Christ and the mention of his name under penalty of death by beheading. He warned there would soon come a day when the Noahide laws will be enforced, along with their penalties. Under the Affordable Care Act, death by guillotine is an actual inclusion for the use of capital punishment. Just as the Noahide laws were classified under an education bill, death by beheading by guillotine is classified under Medical Code ICD-9 E978 under legal execution.
And the Rebbe pleaded, if only the United Nations will go back to the basics and empower their nation to adopt the 7 Noahide laws, then this world would be a very different world.
Death by firing squad, electrocution, or poison gas. Under a new rule filed by the Trump administration, these methods can now be used to carry out executions for federal death sentences in addition to lethal injection.
Very much in favor of the death penalty.
We have to bring back the death penalty. They have to pay the ultimate price.
Death penalty. Bring it forth. Again, the words death penalty, death penalty, death penalty, death penalty. From no penalty to death penalty, the death penalty. The death penalty. It's called the death penalty, okay?
2 ultra-Orthodox members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition have introduced a bill that would punish believers for sharing the gospel of Jesus with prison time. United Torah Judaism Knesset members Moshe Gafni and Yaakov Asher introduced legislation last week making it illegal to share in conversation or produce content online, in print, or by mail. Their explanation of the bill emphasizes a warning to stop Christians in particular.
You know what Israel need today? They need Yeshua. They need Yeshua. But if you bring Jesus, you bring the wrong guy. Don't bring us Jesus. But if you bring Jesus, you bring the wrong guy. Don't bring us Jesus.
The name Jesus is really Yeshua.
He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
In Kabbalah, visiting grave sites is a common mystical practice, particularly at the graves of tzaddikim, righteous individuals. This is Donald Trump in October of 2024, visiting the gravesite of Grand High Kabbalist Rebbe Schneerson. You can also see Trump's Kabbalah handlers next to him who seem to be guiding him in this ritual. Kabbalah teaches that tzaddikim, righteous individuals, continue to shield the world even after their death, their prayers and blessings still effective. Visiting their gravesites allows one to tap into this merit and benefit from their intercession, holiness, and merit of the righteous one's grave to amplify one's own prayers to their God, Ein Sof. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents.
Well, now you can get an idea of what we're facing, fam. I'm gonna show you some videos and then that's it. Let me see if I can play them. Hold on. Let's go.
La Virgen de Guadalupe no bajó del cielo. Fue el invento más divino del imperio para someter con fe a los mexicas, aztecas, otomis, chichimecas, etc.
But nevertheless, it's interesting to see that they were so focused and so interested in the Hebrew scriptures that they wanted to found a country based on its dictates. The Hebrew language was also very popular. It was very popular in a place of higher education in those days. In fact, until today, the old universities, Harvard and Yale, the Ivy League schools, you can see God's name or various other words written in Hebrew on the seals, the emblems of the schools. At the time of the American Revolution, interest in Hebrew was so widespread that members of Congress proposed that Hebrew be the official language of this country. He says that the Puritans, the early settlers, when they emigrated from England, they looked at themselves as reenacting, as paralleling the Jewish people leaving the oppressive Egypt. England was the oppressive, slave-driven society of Egypt. The king of England was the new Pharaoh. The Atlantic Ocean was the Red Sea that they were now crossing through. And America, the new promised land, the new Israel. They were the new Israelites that wanted to establish a new covenant with God in the new promised land.
So let's go to the exploration of America. How is America a Jewish project? The whole idea of the separation of church and state, where did that come from? Well, that's also a Marana project. Persecuted by the church, some of these persecuted people said, wait a minute, maybe religion and state should be two different things. At its exploration, America came out of a Hebraic project, desire to go back to what once was, in the time of the Bible, a Hebrew republic.
Kabbalah was an ancient mystery tradition that Jews adopted in Egypt and then brought to Palestine and incorporated into Judaism. And this is why Solomonic knowledge, which often, of course, is extolled in Freemasonry, is seen as a kind of Egyptian knowledge.
I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Is the Abrahamic legend.
And get a great big missile and blow that wicked dome of the rock plumb off of the spot where it's standing right now, so we can get that third temple rebuilt and usher in the coming of Jesus.
The golden age of America begins right now.
A destructive force of 85,000.
I've been talking about this union for a while already. I've been saying how they've been here since 1492. They never lied to me. They lied to you.
New Pope's prayer at the Vatican, his translator claimed Mary to be God.
And let us ask for this special grace from Mary, our God.
After all, who can blame the translator, since many Catholics, if not all, literally worship Mary?
That's some wicked shit.
The worship of any other than the true and living God is to worship a demon. You don't get to God by making an idol and doing the best you can.
The Roman Catholic Church teachings and doctrines will not lead you to believe otherwise, because they elevate Mary at the level of deity.
If her eyes are upon you, your salvation is assured. Now, think what that means. It means if she turns her gaze from you, you're toast.
See that? The hell is that about? Sure. Yeah. Well, you know. Anyways, let me finish it with this video and then we're done, fam. Appreciate you guys being here, man. Appreciate that. Because I think that these questions need to be asked. I'm going to play this and then we're done. Now I'm going to follow up with another class regarding this topic. So, man, hold your horses, bro, because a lot of you guys ain't probably going to like it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of it. Just the fact, bro. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you appreciate it. At least you can understand where I'm coming from. Let's go. Good night.
I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country. When they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be.
From their rise to power to the murder of 6 million European Jews in the Holocaust, the Nazis relied on a powerful weapon: propaganda. Propaganda is biased information designed to shape public opinion and behavior. Adolf Hitler and other Nazi leaders were skilled propagandists who used many techniques to spread their messages. The Nazis relied upon propaganda to create a society where only Germans they considered racially pure belonged. After Hitler became chancellor in 1933, the Nazis started to take control of the media. They shut down independent newspapers and seized authority over radio, film, newsreels, theater, and music productions. Soon, the Nazis controlled almost all media accessible to the German population and used this power to spread propaganda in different ways. Under Nazi rule, all German films would become subject to censorship and control. They produced films to demonize Jews by comparing them to rats and drawing on other negative stereotypes, while also portraying the supposedly ideal, pure German. The Nazis used all of these propaganda techniques to exclude, demonize, and isolate Jewish people. They showed the world how dangerous propaganda could be in the hands of experts.
The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. And our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
That's crazy, but at least now we know exactly what we are looking at. I mean, shit, we already did, didn't we?
Snatch the mic from conquistadors' descendants. Resurrect ancestors in every sentence. You built your cathedrals on our bones and our essence. But I'm the vengeance encoded in every lesson. I'm obsidian tongue, now well in the rhythm. My syllables sliced like Quetzal plumes in prism. I'm the algorithm of forgotten prisms. The DNA of kingdoms pre-Christian. You call me illegal alien, I call that fiction. A label invented after linguistic crucifixion. They baptized our vision, erased tradition. But I'm the codex risen. Glyphs and transmissions, apotech, mathematics, mixed deck, manuscripts, tricky linguistics encrypted in hieroglyph scripts. I spit solar flares, old mech in the syntax. Before your prophets ever dreamed of sin acts. I'm the son of maize, not the son of Spain. Blood of volcanoes pulsing through my veins. Colonial trauma encoded in my brain, but I broke those chains. Jaguar untamed, they say mestizo, like it's a downgrade, but I'm the upgrade. 2,000 years unafraid. Before Adam, before Rome, before crusades, we had calendars calculating cosmic waves. You burn our codices cold as pagans, but our science was quantum equations. We mapped Orion with obsidian tools. You map crusades with blood and fools. I'm now with a tongue in custom with Sarika prayer. My timekeeper, celestial air. Chicanos not slang. It's reclamation of decolonized nation within a nation. From Alaska to Andes, I see reflections. Cherokee, Maya, Mapuche connections. I'm the fusion of feathers and fire direction. The smoke of incense, rebellion's complexion. They call me Latino now, that's oppression. They call me Hispanic, that's possession. You can't colonize what's eternal. I'm internal, infernal, ancestral journal. The Taino's conch still echoes through wind. The Keek still chant what's never been dimmed. The Aymara still guard the sacred rim. We are not myths, we are oxygen. I'm the voice of the Pueblos you forgot to name. The prophets are fulfilled in the hip-hop flame. This is not rap, it's blood memory on tape. An Aztec priest with the mic instead of a blade. I am not Hebrew, not Roman, not slave. Not from Atlantis, not from caves. I'm from the land where the sun behaves, where serpents dance and the cosmos waves. They dress that truth in European masks, but we speak in pyramids, geometry that lasts. Your scholars study what we whispered in dreams. We build philosophy from rivers and beams. Call me rebel, call me savage, call me heathen, but I resurrect civilization still breathing. I'm the Tlaitowani of broken youth, preaching that decolonization is truth. This is Aslan reborn, no Bible, no sword, just words sharper than obsidian cord. Every rhyme a ritual, every verse a prayer to awaken the millions who forgot we're still there. Yo soy la voz del maíz, el eco de los abuelos aún por venir. No soy ilegal, soy mil naciones en mí. Soy mixes zapoteco, rara morir. I'm every tribe they try to divide, of every tongue they try to hide. The blood remembers even when we forget. We are the
echoes of the past.
Cherokee to Sioux, our stories intertwined like rivers flowing through. Invaders drew borders where the colonizers penned, but we were nations long before they ever came. 500 years of pain, 500 years of war. They tried to change the spirit, but we rise even more. From the Arctic ice winds to the pampas sun, we are many nations, but together we are one. 500 years of struggle, 500 years of pride. They stole our lands and rivers, but the people never died. From the desert to the jungle, from the mountains to the sea. Indigenism lives, we are unity. English, Spanish, Portuguese, the Dutch and the French all left blood and ashes, left our bodies in the trench. They poisoned food systems, they enslaved the earth, but couldn't kill the spirit that's been burning since birth. They burned the codices, they silenced the songs, yet our languages returned, they were never truly gone. We speak it now, Wado, Quechua, Aymara tones. Cherokee, syllabary carved in sacred stones. Inca terraces still breathing when the soil erodes. Maya pyramids align with where the universe flows. Mapuche drums echo where the forest still breathe. Ashaninka chants rise where the rivers still weave. Our children cross borders, our women still fight. Our elders keep the stories like torches in the night. The struggle's not history, it's alive in our veins. 5 centuries of sorrow, 5 centuries of flames. We are not defeated. We are the corn, the coca, the quinoa, the beans. We are the drumbeat, the condor, the jaguar, the eagle. We are the memory of the earth itself. Pan-Indianism. One fire. One people. See colonial borders. Can't erase the kinship from the Pueblos to the Andes. It's the same resistance from Lakota up north to the Garifuna shores. We are all survivors of the colonizer wars. We are red power aims, Zapatistas on the rise. Idle, no more marches with fire in our eyes. We reclaim the land, we reclaim the tongue. We reclaim the stories that the elders sung. No treaties broken, can't erase our claim. No assimilation, can't extinguish the flame. We stand a standing rock, defend the sacred streams. From Ecuador to Mexico, awaken from the dream. And to the youth, know your roots, know your name. Know the nations that carried you through centuries of pain. This is unity, this is love, this is struggle in motion. A continent of nations rising like the ocean. 500 years of pain, 500 years of war. They try to change the spirit, but we rise even more. From the Arctic ice winds to the pampas sun, we are many nations, but together we are one. 500 years of struggle, 500 years of pride. They stole our lands and rivers, but the people never died. From the desert to the jungle, from the mountains to the sea. Pan-Indigenism lives, we are unity. 500 years, and the heartbeat's still strong. 500 years, but our people live on. Not conquer, not years. From Anasazi to Mapuche, from Pitbull to Czech. 500 years, one fire, one people, and we rise.
That's the mic from conquistadors, descendants, resurrect ancestors in every sentence. You built your cathedrals on our bones and our essence, but I'm the vengeance encoded in every lesson. I'm obsidian tongue, now while in the rhythm. My syllables slice like quetzal plumes and prism. I'm the algorithm of forgotten prisms. The DNA of kingdoms pre-Christian. You call me illegal alien, I call that fiction. A label invented after linguistic crucifixion. They baptize our vision, erase tradition, but I'm the codex risen. Glyphs and transmissions that protect mathematics. Mixed like manuscripts, tracking linguistics encrypted in hieroglyph scripts. I spit solar flares, omic in the syntax. Before your prophets ever dreamed of syntax.
I'm the son of maize, not the son of Spain. Blood of volcanoes pulsing through my veins. Colonial trauma encoded in my frame, but I broke those chains. Jaguar untamed, they said master Zoe like it's a downgrade, but I'm the upgrade. 2,000 years unafraid. Before Adam, before Rome, before Crusades, we had calendars calculating cosmic waves. Yeah, you burned our codices, called us pagans, but our science was quantum equations. We mapped Orion with obsidian tools. Map crusades with blood and fools. I'm not one tongue, a stone with static, a prayer. Maya timekeeper of celestial layers. Chicani's not slang, it's reclamation. I decolonize nation within a nation. From Alaska to Andes, I see reflections. Cherokee, Maya, Mapuche connections. I'm the fusion of feathers and fire direction. The smoke of incense, rebellious complexion. They call me Latino, nah, that's oppression. They call me Hispanic, that's possession. You can't colonize what's eternal. I'm internal, infernal, ancestral journal. The Taino's cone still echoes the wind. The key still chant what's never been dimmed. The Aymara still guard the sacred realm. We are not mist, we are oxygen. I'm the voice of the Pueblos, you forgot the name. The prophecy fulfilled in the hip-hop flame. This is not rap, it's blood memory on tape. And that's the grease with the mic instead of a blade.
I am not Hebrew, not Roman, not slave. Not from Atlantis, not from caves. I'm from the land where the sun behaves. Where serpents dance in the cosmos waves. They dressed our truth in European masks, but we speak in pyramids, geometry that lasts. Your scholars study what we whispered in dreams. We built philosophy from rivers and beams. Call me rebel, call me savage, call me heathen, but I resurrect civilization still breathing. I'm the Tlatoani of broken youth, preaching that decolonization is truth. This is Aslan reborn, no Bible, no sword, just words sharper than obsidian core. Every rhyme a ritual, every verse a prayer, to awaken the millions who forgot we're still there.
Yo soy la voz del maíz, el eco de los abuelos aún por venir. No soy ilegal, soy mil naciones en mí. Soy mixes zapoteco, rara muri.
I'm every tribe they try to divide, every tongue they try to hide. The blood remembers even when we forget. We are the sun that refuses to set. No borders, no names, no shame. We are the fire before the flame. The original people, the first, the last, the future dressed in the echoes of the past.
Yeah. Yo soy la voz del maíz, el eco de los abuelos aún por venir. No soy ilegal, soy mil naciones en mí. Soy mixed, zapoteco, raramuri. Yeah. I'm every tribe they try to divide, every tongue they try to hide. The blood remembers, even when we forget. We are the sun that refuses to set. No borders, no names, no shame. We are the fire before the flame. The original people, the first, the last, the future, dressed in the echoes of the past.
Mi gente, por ahí andan las noticias que según quieren deportar a toda la raza trabajadora y les hicimos este corrido, compa Kevin.
Para que le pongan oídos dice más o menos así, compadre. Años tengo trabajando de este lado, buscando el mentado sueño americano.
Los gringos aquí ya no nos quieren, que según les estorbamos.
Se menciona mucho en los noticieros, traen muchos mitotesos del gobierno.
Resulta ya quieren deportarme, en eso no estamos de acuerdo.
Resulta que por ser inmigrante mi valor es insignificante. Si supieran lo que batallamos para salir adelante.
Día con día salimos a chambear, no creo que a nadie le hagamos mal. Ya quisiera verlos trabajando como lo hace este ilegal. ¿Y qué culpa tenemos nosotros los inmigrantes por querer buscar nuestros sueños? ¡Ánimo, mi gente! Y no se me rajen.
Y así suenan los de la norte, compa Jesús Méndez. Puro elegante récord, mi viejo. ¡Ay, ay, ay!
Unos días no duermo y otros como mal, pa' que a mi familia nada le pueda faltar.
Se murió mi madre y a mi padre, espero volverlo a mirar.
Canto por mi gente, no se vayan a agüitar, que Diosito es grande y de esta ley nos va a salvar.
No más acuérdense de Florida, nos volvieron a ocupar.
Resulta que por ser inmigrante mi valor es insignificante. Si supieran lo que hemos sufrido para salir adelante.
Día con día salimos a chambear, no creo que a nadie le hagamos mal. Ya quisiera verlos trabajando como lo hace este ilegal.
Mesta isukame Claudia Shemo ya utayu. Shabete ya komera javeni.
Cho nó vào cái dưới tiết tập rồi em cứ
De donde soy, no nos rajamos. Cualquier tierra la trabajamos.
El sacrificio jamás es en vano, que hasta el espacio hemos llegado.
Where we are from, no nos rajamos. And what we dream of lo realizamos. Gran paisano, hermano, amigo, soy mexicano. Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera. Verde, blanco y rojo lo llevo en las venas. Como el águila volamos sin fronteras. Rompemos la malla que separa tierras. Y nacimos con legado de grandeza. Extraño mi rancho, también mi familia. Pueblo querido que no se me olvida. Aunque de este lado me trajo la vida. Siempre paradela como Pancho Villa. Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera. Verde, blanco, rojo lo llevo en las venas. Como el águila volamos sin fronteras. Rompemos la malla que separa tierras. Y nacimos con legado de grandeza.
A nuestras mujeres y madres inmigrantes, un ejemplo de fuerza y valor. ¡Y que viva México!
Y aunque el acta diga americano, hay en puro mexicano.
Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera. Verde, blanco y rojo lo llevo en mis venas.
Como el águila volamos sin fronteras. Rompemos la malla que separa tierras. Y nacimos con legado de grandeza.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros, pena caminarán. Yo soy tú, tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.